All right, here we go. On with Eddie Steele, one of my close friends. Thanks for coming on, Eddie. Been wanting to have you on a podcast for a while.
Sure.
You're the owner-operator of Steele Fitness. How long you been doing that?
2 decades, about 2 decades now. It's crazy.
In Orange County?
In Orange County. Started out of city of Orange, down at a small place called OC Fitness.
Yeah.
Jim Spraggins. He's now training Mike Tyson to beat up Jake Paul.
Wow.
So one of a good friend of mine. Started with him as an independent contractor. Started my LLC and been booming ever since.
Yeah.
So time flies.
Killing it. Well, you've had more impact on young people around here than almost anybody I know.
Wow.
And it's a big deal. And watching, you and I first met when you were coaching over at Golden West, and I was at OCC, and we had a little, and then we went over to Harvard together.
You mean you didn't like me?
No, you didn't. Yeah, no, you didn't. It was fine, but
Full circle.
It's funny, that rivalry, man, between OCC and Golden West is.
I think it's a good one for the county for sure.
Yeah,
like if
fun.
you're in the Huntington Beach, Costa Mesa area, it's so crazy how many old timers or guys that are in their 60s talk about. I played at Golden West, and they played junior college football, just like anywhere else. Just like anywhere else in the country.
Yeah. The stands used to be packed way back when. Now it's like a high school game when you go. But
it's great over there. OCC has really, really good cheerleaders.
Yeah,
and Golden West has really good football players. So on Saturdays, some people go watch cheerleaders, and some people go watch the football players.
There you go. All right, touche. But it was cool because we were at a birthday dinner for my sister the other night, and my nephew James. We're sitting across from each other. My family, we have everybody there, so it's one of them big long tables. And I told James I was having you on my podcast, and he goes, I just had an assignment, and this is like typical of kids you've been around. He's at Chapman, he's a senior, and he had an assignment in his leadership class to, where they had to write about somebody that had a positive effect in their life in like 20 minutes and then hand it in. And he goes, it was so easy for me. I just wrote about Coach Steele. And he talked about when COVID hit and those kids were in high school.
Yeah.
And we were trying to find some normalcy for those kids, and you took a lot of those kids under your wing up at your gym and set stuff up in the parking lot and tried to follow the 6 feet rule maybe. And
we always made sure we washed the invisible slime off our hands. So when they came into the gym, they washed their hands. Yeah. And when they left the gym, they washed their hands.
Yeah.
The rest of it we can't speak about.
Yeah. That was a wild time, man.
Yeah, it was fun. I enjoyed it actually. Like you said, I got to be around a bunch of neat kids, and there was kids came home from college and didn't have a place to work out at, and my sons came home, and we just all packed into the gym and worked out. And if you got sick, you didn't come to the gym for a few weeks.
Right.
And we were all made it through it together. It was really nice.
That was a wild time.
Yeah, it was.
Wild
really
time.
Was. It was. I was living in Long Beach at the time, and I remember at about 2 o'clock going home one day after a half day's work because there was really no work, and I jumped on my bike and rode around the promenade downtown, and I have a video I'll put on my Instagram or Facebook. I don't remember what it was, but it was really like that movie with Will Smith, I Am Legend. Nobody was outside. I rode my bike for 30 minutes and I didn't pass one car, one human. I was like, what is going on?
Yeah. The day of the lockdown, Joey, my son, was going to Germany to play professional football in Germany, and I took him to LAX, and it was like you said, that movie. There was nobody one there, and we drove right up to the terminal and the international, and it was like a ghost town. And I was like, why is he getting on this plane? And he was just determined to get over there and try to play some ball and get the heck out of here, thinking it was different. And then he went over there and sat in an apartment for 3 months on lockdown.
He came back and worked out with us as well.
Yeah,
that was a great time. I really got to know Joey during that time. Tough, resilient kid with a really, really good heart.
Yeah,
he gets it from his mom.
So what do you think that is in you, man, that you do, that has an effect on these kids, and so many kids look up to you, and what do you think it is that you do to motivate them? I mean, I've seen you get kids excited about waking up at 4:30 in the morning
Who
and
wouldn't be
going
excited about waking up at 4:30 in the morning?
Me, Murphy.
I don't know, man. I know I've had some really, really good mentors in my life. And they were always early risers. My uncle, who was played like a father figure to me, he was a roofing contractor, so he was up in Lancaster, Palmdale. It's 100 degrees by 8 o'clock, and you can't work. So he was up at 4 o'clock just to get 3-4 hours of work in and go home and do, and then come back at 5 p.m. to finish his workday. So he was a big influence in my life as far as waking up and getting after it and go make money. Yeah. And then I had a really, really good coach by the name of Coach Hunt. Lives in Tehachapi, California now. And he was also a guy that by the time we got to school, he had his workout in, he had jogged or walked, and he always was super young. He was older, but he always looked super young and, just full of piss and vinegar. Yeah. So he was just an old school. Yeah. From Texas, actually. He had moved to California from Texas, I think. So he was just a dog, and he was always a PE teacher. I always wanted to be a PE teacher. I wanted to be Coach Hunt. Between Coach Hunt and my uncle were like my role models.
So you grew up out in?
I grew up in a small town called California City, right outside of Lancaster, California. Okay. So, and I mean, I say I grew up. I kind of moved around a lot because my mom was in the military. So I think at 13, 14 years old, they got out of Everett Air Force Base. That's where they got out, retired or whatever, got out the military. So we stopped in a small town called California City.
Okay.
And that's where I went to high school. I think I did my 8th grade year of junior high school. And then, no, more than that. And then high school there, and got out of there, went to San Jacinto Junior College. So I'm a JC guy. That's why I love junior college so much.
Junior college is awesome.
I love it.
Yeah.
I'm a JC guy. And then went to Humboldt State.
Okay.
And graduated from up there and had a good time up there.
So growing up, you had your uncle. That was your mom's brother?
My mom's brother.
Okay. Yeah. And
still have him.
Still have him?
Yeah.
But that was the guy you looked up to?
Man, the hardest guy on the planet.
Yeah.
He is literally like cut a finger off roofing. His hands are like asphalt. Like it's just hardened, man. He's 60 years old and still do 10 pull-ups and still roofs. He still freaking carries bundles on top of a roof and puts them on. He has a couple of helpers, but he's amazing. He's tough.
And then where was Coach Hunt from?
Coach Hunt was from high school. He was actually my track coach. In high school, I ran track, played baseball and football. He was my track coach, but he was a really good football coach. And he had coached football for years and realized, what am I doing? So then he just started coaching track and talking crap.
Anybody, right?
Then I remember him and my head coach, my head football coach, Satterfield, who actually played for Coach Hunt, was all everything.
Yeah.
Went to SLO and broke all the records up at SLO, quarterback. He played for Coach Hunt. And I remember him and Hunt would get in arguments because Hunt would be telling him what to do in the coach's office.
Right.
But then he would go coach cross country and track. It's like, come on, guy, come out of retirement and help me or shut up. But no, so he was my track coach, and he was just super simple. And it seemed like he had it all figured out.
Yeah.
He really did.
And you have work ethic like this in high school? Or?
I you know what? I did. I was literally roofing. I was in high school probably by my sophomore year, and I had my own roofing gun. Had my belt. I mean, I was putting on squares. I talk about it all the time. And I would do that in the morning, and then we would have football practice in the afternoon. And everybody on my team knew I was a contractor. I wasn't just like.
Right.
Matter of fact, I would get my buddies, like my buddy Casey Young, my buddy Steve. I'll be like, hey, why don't you guys come bust for me? That's when you bring the shingles up the roof.
Right.
So they'll be bringing the shingles, and I'm before I even have my driver's license, my uncle's yelling at them, hey, you guys are slow. And I'm like, you got to speed up or my uncle's going to fire you. Yeah. He's not going to let me pay you, So I'm putting on material. And I'm doing that 5-6 hours a day at least, 7 hours a day. And then I would go home, sleep, get underneath the swamp cooler, shower, wake up, go to football practice, do 7-on-7, and do it again the next day. And I even did it through college. My buddies were like, dude, you really be going home working. And I'm like, yeah. So, plus it gave me time to hang out with, like, my uncle. Like, it was, I mean, he must have fired me. He fired me every other week. Right. Like, I was the worst. Like, you know, I'll pay you $300 if you get this job done. I get $75. Like, and I see a guy that did half the work I did get $300. I'm like, come on.
He's just pushing you.
He was mentally He was mentally challenging for me, but that's why when coaches and stuff yelled at me, which wasn't often, I just like, come on, you got to be kidding me.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
So, yeah.
So you get out of high school, and then what made you decide to go JC route?
I didn't have no other options. I was all 2 times, all county, all everything. I actually took the ASVAB after going to the military because that's what everybody did in my hometown.
Yeah.
So I was going to go to the Air Force, and I had a guy by the name of Coach John Gardner who was a Marine. He was either Marine or Army. No, he was Army because he was out of Fort Irwin. He was driving from Barstow to California City, Mojave, to coach high school football. And he told me, he's all, Steele, you could play college football.
Right.
You know, nobody really thinks they can unless, you know, especially from a small town.
Yeah.
So you always seen all these guys that, you know, that you're competing against. But, I mean, I was doing everything they were doing.
Right.
For sure, faster than most of them, stronger than most of them, but just played on a smaller scale. So ended up going to San Jacinto and playing there because of Coach John Gardner. He actually, talking about a good dude, he got a 2-bedroom apartment, and he came and he helped like me and 2 or 3 of my other buddies. And then 2 or 3 of my other buddies that ended up becoming my friends, they went to Silver Valley High School in Yermo. Tim Dombrowski, actually his son just signed with Southern Utah. He's like a nephew. Me and him both played running back in junior college together, but rival high schools.
Yeah.
So we all kind of moved in, a bunch of small town kids. I think we had 3 to a bedroom. There was 6 of us and 2 in the living room. Like, it was crazy. But it worked, and I think 4 or 5 of us all ended up getting our degrees from different colleges, and one's an AD down in LA somewhere, and but nice. It was over for John Gardner putting us all together and telling us all, hey, you guys could play college football.
Yeah. You
just need an opportunity. I would have been in the Air Force, and I'd probably be retired with good pension and a VA loan, you know, a GI Bill somewhere, 8 houses around the country. I'd probably be. Yeah. Went to every continent, you know. Yeah. So, but instead, coaching.
Here we go. God had different plans.
Yeah. So, went to San Jacinto, and had fun there. Played a couple of years there, and had some great roommates, some great experiences, and then went off to Humboldt State.
Yeah.
So yeah.
And then, at that point, did you know you wanted to do what you're doing now?
Oh, that's all I ever wanted to do. I knew when I was a sophomore in high school, all I want to do is roll out balls. That kid, like Coach Hunt had it. I told you, Coach Hunt had it figured out.
So you just wanted to coach and train.
It was either I was going to be a roofing contractor,
right,
or I was going to be a PE teacher, coach and train. And those are the only 2 things I ever really wanted to do. It was crazy. And I remember graduating from Humboldt, and I went to a place off the 405. And where's that? It's right off the 405. It says like roofing something. It's in, is that Culver City? You can see it off the 405 if you're looking westbound. And I went into this company. It's called roofing something. It's right off of like Rosecrans. Right there. So next time you're driving that way, looking, I walked into that building, and I told the guy, hey, I just graduated from Humboldt State. I don't have a job yet. I would like to try to come and be a roofer for you. And it's a big company. And the guy told me, son, you have a degree in kinesiology. Right. I'm not even going to do you like that. He said, most of my guys haven't graduated junior high school. Right. And I'm like, I just want a job, bro. I don't care. Yeah. So he's like, nah. And he didn't hire me. And so from there, I called and made a couple of phone calls and ended up getting a PE gig in Santa Monica like 2 weeks later.
Oh, nice.
But I couldn't even get a job roofing in LA.
Yeah. True story. He did you a favor.
Yeah, or else I'd be a roofer right now. I'd probably have, I'd probably have 18 different businesses roofing all over the country. Right. Like my energy, like, you know? So, who knows? Crazy.
Yeah. So you're doing PE in Santa Monica, and then...
I'm doing PE in Santa Monica. And I did that for a few years. I did that for like two and a half years. True story. I was working for my principal's name was Alan Friedenberg, great guy. And I was driving at this point from Brea to Santa Monica because I lived in a bachelor palace with a bunch of guys and living my best life, supposedly. What they call it nowadays, living your best life. And it was raining one day. And it was probably December 12th. And we had like a week or so before school was out for the holidays. And it rained, and it took me like 3 hours to get home from Brea to Santa Monica. And I went the next day and I told Alan, this is my last couple of weeks. When the break comes, you guys are going to need somebody else.
Yeah.
And I went and I started being a personal trainer at LA Fitness in Anaheim Hills.
Okay, that's where you started.
Yep.
All right.
Yep. And I tell kids all the time, they say, Coach, I want to be man, go to a warehouse gym, go to 24-hour fitness, go to LA Fitness, and just get as many clients as you can. Just get to know people, talk to people. It's paid training. It's a paid internship.
Right.
It really is.
Yeah.
And you'll find out if you really want to do it or not, you know. But nowadays kids want the $200 client.
Right away.
Right away.
Yeah.
I just got my certificate, Coach. You're 19 years old with a ton of experience, you know?
Yeah.
So
it's funny the whole entitlement thing sometimes with this generation, or I mean, just everyone.
It's
now.
not just this generation.
It's everyone
everywhere.
now.
Yeah, it's not just this generation.
You think that has anything to do with just these and
for sure.
phones and internet
and parents?
And
my daughter's entitled. She gets sushi. Like I seen a thing the other day and they said we were excited to get McDonald's and she's asking for sushi and this and that stuff I can't even pronounce.
Yeah.
The other day she got some garbacha or something like that and I guess it's meat and I don't even know what it is. Right. Raw meat and this and that and I'm just like, what are you eating, kid? Like, you know, like these kids nowadays.
Yeah.
So that's a lot on our shoulders and I take full responsibility for my three. They're a little entitled, and I want them to be some. Like, I think it's important that they know their worth as well.
I think that's true. I think that I want to raise my kids to expect a lot.
Yeah. How much that Stanley Cup cost?
Oh, man, I don't know. Kelsey just brings them home, man. We got like 10 of them.
I don't have a Stanley Cup. I use a gallon jug of water.
So we'll tell the story.
Oh, my God.
So, Eddie, you are a very good motivator when you kind of get stuck talking to your teenage kids. So I call you on speakerphone to try to talk to Zach, my 14-year-old, about drinking more water.
Yeah.
And you're like, you're not sending him to school with a Stanley, are you? And I'm like, well, yeah, what's wrong with that? I had no idea.
I'm like, just get a bottle and put some water in. He's like, Dad, I don't want to take the Stanley.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm like, leave Zach alone.
Man. So, So let's talk about that, like, as parents, because, you know, that's one thing in our world. Expectations of parents in the whole athletic world.
Yeah.
It's just wild nowadays. I think it's always been wild, but the expectations of parents and I don't know if people want to live vicariously through their kids, or they just think that, you know.
Yeah, I think they just don't know. I think they get snowed by the whole system with the AAU and so many people out to make money off of kids at a young age. A lot of times, you know, you tell parents what they want to hear instead of what they should be hearing.
And people in your position do, so they can get the check.
Yeah. Oh yeah. The you know, money rules everything around you. So you know, especially in better areas, you know, people want to hear how great their kid is, and realistically, your kid is probably average, and there's nothing wrong with that. I say all the time, there's nothing wrong with being a really good high school football player. There's a lot of them. There's a lot of really good.
And
high
that's
school
a
football
special
players.
time.
It is, and if you're so busy chasing. You know, it's important to be where your feet are at. Mm-hmm. You know, you're so busy chasing the dream. Well, realistically, this is the dream. This is part of the dream. This is part of the journey. So you don't enjoy being where your feet are at because you're so busy chasing this dream of playing at the next level or even getting a job. I want to be a doctor so bad. I want to be a doctor so bad. So then, you know, you don't enjoy just being with your classmates or going to USC or UCLA. You don't do any of that, and then all of a sudden you look up and one day you're a doctor working at Hogue and you have $400,000 worth of debt, and you're like still miserable, you know. And it's like, hold on, I had a buddy named Danny, to take it back a little bit. I had a buddy named Danny who actually played for the Olympic team, goalie for the Olympic team, and he went to Santa Barbara, and this always stuck with me. He was one of the first goalies in the American Football League. I can't even think of the name of it right now. A soccer league, the one that's here in America, to sign $1 million contract.
The MLS, right?
The MLS, yes. He was one of the first goalies to sign $1 million contract. You could look it up, fact check it, since we're on a podcast, right? So anyways, me and him were talking about when he was at Santa Barbara, he was living in Seal Beach, and he was talking about when he was in Santa Barbara going to school with his roommates and this, how much better life was.
Yeah.
He said he went to better bars, he went to better restaurants because everybody knew who he was.
Yeah.
He had less money in his pocket, and life seemed like now he's a millionaire. He signed $1 million contract. He waits to get into a restaurant. He's like, that was the dream. That was I was living the dream. That was the journey, and that was probably the best part of this all. Now he has expenses. He lives down in Seal Beach. And I'm like, brother, you're onto something, because I look back at it, and like when I played at Humboldt, we never waited to get in line anywhere. People always picked up tabs for us.
Sure.
We didn't have no money in our pocket.
Yeah.
But we were living the same, if not a better, 4 guys in a house, a beautiful home in Humboldt County, walking to class, just skippity-doo-dah. And it's like, I can't wait to make money. That money isn't what you're waiting for, brother. This is what you've been waiting on.
Yeah.
So,
it's funny. I always joke, if we could, what is that saying? Youth is wasted on the young. It's like, if we do what we do now.
And then had that youth to go with my knowledge.
How much fun I had in my 20s. I didn't realize how much fun I was actually having. But I was
overdraft, broke, this and that. It's the only time I could go hang out with a bunch of buddies and have no money. Matter of fact, be negative. I owed Bank of America $20 and had a great time.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
So it's pretty crazy.
So besides telling parents, like, hey, enjoy your kid's journey, because I think that's one thing. I've kind of watched you as a father, and myself as a father have really tried to embrace and focus on. And your sons both had great football careers, and my son had a pretty good football career, and got his college paid for, and got to play a couple years in Germany, but it was over. But like the whole experience, I think the funnest time for him, I have to ask him, but for me, was his high school years. And those are the kids he hangs out with all the time now. Still, they're the kids he played high school with.
It's a great. I think as a coach, you understand the whole. I've always told my sons, it's gonna end.
Right.
This isn't going to last forever. And it always ends before you want it to end.
Yes.
Sometimes it's in high school. Sometimes it's at junior college. Sometimes it's at college. Sometimes you make it and play pro ball. But very few people get a Tom Brady moment where you could just. No. John Elway did it. Go Broncos. Right. 2000. Walk-off Super Bowl champ. Never play again. But very few athletes say, I'm done. It's usually an injury, or they're just told they can't play no more. They're not good enough. Yeah. So when that happens, what's next? Right. When it happens a lot sooner than most people think it's going to be, what's next? Always know what's next. And then be able to also say, you know what? I enjoyed that. Mm-hmm. What's next? Yeah. Because football, life isn't about sports. That's a very, very small time in your life. There's so much more than athletics. Yeah. And you could be an athlete the rest of your life, but those organized sports like that, that's minute. I look back at the NBA now, and when I was in high school and in college, I can name almost every damn player. Like, I loved the Patrick Ewings. I knew John Starks, go back into it, Stephon Marbury. I'm talking about players that Steve franchise, kids don't even know who they are, and these were amazing, amazing players. Yeah. Right? Jamal Tinsley, all these guys. But I've been watching the playoffs. I've watched 3 games. I think that's more basketball I've watched in 3 years probably. Yeah. I don't know none of them. They're just babies, and people talk about them and like they're grown men. Yeah. They're 22 years old. Yeah. And people talk about them like they're adults. And he could be done. If he played 8 more years, 10 more years, he had been in the NBA for 14 years or something like that. Right. That's 30, something crazy. Yeah. 33 years old. At 33 years old, you have the rest of your life. And that's 14 years in the NBA we're talking, Yeah. So imagine 4 years in high school. Right. Now you still have the rest of your life. Forget about it. Go do something else. What's next? Sure. And
I know a lot of kids that are pretty good in high school or pretty good in college. You watch it end for them, and their identity is like just lost for a minute until they figure out who they really are. And I think that's pretty powerful. What you say is like, know your next step.
Me and my son Xavier talk about it. He was at Arizona State, and he was in the locker room with guys that were absolute monsters. Yeah. and something he did that I was really proud of him. He started his LinkedIn account, and he used Arizona State's platform to build Xavier Steele's What's Next platform.
His brand, yeah.
Yes.
Love it.
And when he was doing that, he had guys that were absolute monsters, even on the wrestling team, monsters, All-Americans, saying, "Hey, can you help me with a?" And he's like, "Right, you know who you know who you are. You're a freaking All-American wrestler, guy.
Yeah,
you're All-American. You know how many people want not Arizona State, but want you.
Yeah,
but you never took the time to build you off of Arizona State's platform."
Right. Yeah.
So we always talk about it would be cool to set up a concept. Somebody's going to steal this from me now.
No, I mean,
someone's
that is a great idea.
Set up a concept for kids to build, use that as a base, whether you're at USC. How many USC grads that play sports? And I mean, let's not even talk football. Let's talk baseball or crew. They're not going. There is nothing
polo.
else.
Yeah.
You better use that USC brand while you can.
Yeah.
Get out especially nowadays. You could get out and work for a law firm. You could get out and wear your USC stuff and be a speaker for somebody, and that will catapult you into what's next.
Yeah. What do you think the most frustrating thing about what you do is? Parents.
No way.
I mean, you're probably serious, but and we've talked a little bit about parents, but what about that? What is the most frustrating thing?
I don't know. I really don't get frustrated. I think at this age I don't get frustrated, and also at this age I don't remember a lot. So I kind of take it all with a grain of salt. But really, parents can be frustrating to the point where they sometimes keep their kid from progressing. Like sometimes you got to cut the cord and let them go out and experience their life for themselves and take a step back. And that's, I'm probably guilty of being too overbearing as well sometimes. So it's hard. It's like there's no rule book for parenting. Yeah. When to step in, when to step out. But a lot of times parents don't realize that teachers and mentors and they have your kids' best interests in mind too, and they've done it a lot. As a coach and as a mentor, if you want to call me that, I have a lot of experience dealing with different personalities. I could usually tell you, but at a 14, 15-year-old kid, what path you're going down if you don't change.
Yeah.
Literally. And the parent thinks, oh, this is just a norm. No, it's not.
It's not a phase.
It's not. Yeah. You got to stop this now. Yeah. It could be a phase, but it could be a 50-year phase.
Right.
So yeah, you're right, it's a phase, but we have phases that we go through adolescence, through young adult, there's phases, but you need to go through those phases, not stay in those phases. Right. So.
And then, to me, the scary thing nowadays is just how acceptable smoking weed is.
Oh man, why are you getting me started?
Yeah, because I want to get you started.
You know how I feel. I want to get your urban hikes.
Get your feedback on that.
Man.
It's like that's, to me, it's like when we were growing up.
Yeah.
Marijuana was a drug.
Yeah.
And now it's not even like.
It still is.
It's considered a drug, but it's 10 times more powerful.
Man, listen.
Yeah.
Marijuana is a drug. Alcohol is a drug. I'm going to say a beer is a drug. And I know I just said alcohol. There's plenty of drugs. Aspirin is a drug. Tylenol is a drug. These are all drugs now. Misused, they all are harmful.
Right.
Cigarettes, tobacco, it's all a drug.
Yeah.
Misused is all harmful to you. Now, what really trips me out in alcohol, marijuana, all these things, allowing kids are just saying, you know what, or everyone's doing it. No, everyone's not doing it. Everyone isn't doing it.
Right.
And that's a cop-out. And if so, everyone's getting tattoos. I mean, you go get a whole bunch of tattoos. In my opinion, I'm sorry if you got a bunch of tattoos, that's on you. But in my opinion, just because everyone is doing it, we used to say, if he jumped off the cliff, are you going to jump? Well, nowadays, everyone's jumping.
Right.
Nowadays, it's almost like, why didn't you jump off the cliff?
Yeah.
It's like, just because he did it, I don't need to do that.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I can't stomach it. And then, with so many, it's a slippery slope. the whole smoking weed, marijuana, drinking, but especially marijuana, because I feel personally it puts a fog over you where you don't realize what's going on. And, you know, for the male, the brain isn't developed until, they say, 25 years old.
Yeah.
So it always seems like guys that start smoking at 17, 18, they kind of stay stuck there for a while. They stay in that phase. To go back, they stay in that phase for way too many years, you know? So, I don't know. And it's easy for me to say because I don't partake. Right. So, you know, when you don't partake in it, it's like everyone's like, oh, well, you don't do it. Yeah, you're right, I don't.
But I mean, as a coach, I mean, tell me if I'm wrong and like expand upon this. If a kid starts smoking weed, you know he's smoking weed before anybody tells you he's smoking weed.
I went to humble state, brother.
His
I know.
attitude changes, his demeanor changes.
He's lackadaisical. He's not motivated, for sure. And I mean, it's hard enough to motivate a kid nowadays to just get out and go do the right things. Mm-hmm. And then when you have, when you're starting to put foreign substances in your body, like smoking or even drinking a lot on the weekends, you know, that's the thing. They only let them drink on the weekends, or, you know, him and all his friends have to come to my house to drink.
Right.
First of all, it's illegal. Like, you are literally, and I mean, I'm just imagining, in this area that's kind of like, you know what I mean? I'm going to say it. I'm just going to say it.
Let's say it, because
it's illegal.
That's how we feel.
It's illegal. Yeah. Stop letting your kids and your kids' friends drink. I'll tell you right now, my sons went to Olu. There was zero tolerance.
Yeah.
If Dr. Noble, who's a great friend of mine,
right,
everybody used to go to their house all the time,
mm-hmm.
right? 6 or 7 of those kids went to that house, went D1.
Right. Not
kidding you, including my two. Brandon McKinney, Michael Noble, 2, 3, 4 other kids, all went D1. Stanley, right. Stan is playing, went to Arizona, broke a bunch of records, then he was with the Detroit Lions. 6, 7 kids in one class.
Yeah. Wow.
I'll tell you one thing they weren't doing. Blake Hale, Blake with the bucket hat, he went D1.
Yeah.
There were 7 of them that went D1 from one school, one class. Graduating class 2017 in Orange Lutheran, look it up. They weren't doing a bunch of drinking. They weren't doing a bunch of smoking.
Yeah.
They were all staying at, I mean, Dr. Noble would keep them all at his house because it was close to the school. They would come home on the weekends, or they would come 3 days a week or something. But if he was talking about still, they only drink here, they can't drive, I take their keys, I'm calling the police.
Yeah. Yeah.
You're not my friend.
Right. Yeah.
You mean to tell me you're letting my kid drink and not drive?
Yeah.
At 17? Thank you. No, brother, I'm calling the police.
Yeah.
My kid is a minor.
Yeah.
My kid is a minor. Now, fast forward 4 years, he started drinking and learned how to handle his alcohol.
Right.
At 17 years at Dr. Noble's house. He's 21 years old, out of high school, drinking all the damn time. That stems back to 17 years old.
Right.
I'm taking his keys.
Yeah.
Now, at 21 years old, are you paying his rent when he's not going to work because he's drinking and partying at night?
Right.
Or are you paying his rent when he's trying to, you know, get some weed to smoke? Yeah. But it started at your house because it didn't start in my home.
Yeah.
So parents really got to be willing to, you know, not be friends with their kids and not be friends with your neighbor. And say, no, do not let my kid drink. I don't want to catch my son playing beer pong at your house in the backyard.
Yeah.
He got the rest of his life. This is this phase.
Yeah.
Let's conquer this phase.
Right.
And then when he gets to be 21, he could go do his thing. And then when he gets to be 25, he could be through that phase. But 17 to 21 isn't the phase to go to Coachella and smoke and drink. And then post it on your social media so everybody can see it. Man, I would have, tell him, I would have choked the guy. Mm-hmm. He would have came home. And I would have called the police on Noble, and if he didn't like it, we would have had him. And I mean, I love Noble, so I didn't. Yeah. But I also picked people, like I tried to not pick people, but only pick parents and kids that were able to keep mine away from that. And I'm not saying they're angels and they didn't drink and didn't. Yeah. I'm pretty sure but it wasn't something that they hid it from me.
Yeah.
And that's the win.
Right.
I don't want them to think I'm their friend and it's okay to come to me and be like, hey, I was partying all night, we were on a boat. What?
Yeah.
I'm cutting a hole in somebody's boat.
That's a huge thing to being a teenager's parent is you have to distinguish. I mean, a lot of parents want to be friends and be liked and, you know, be the cool house to hang out at.
I'm not sure if they still like me or not.
Yeah.
I'm not sure. They love me.
Right?
They love me.
Yeah.
But they might not like me still to this day. And guess what?
Yeah.
I got my own friends. I don't like them much either.
Yeah.
I'm telling you right now, I'm not kidding. They're my sons and my daughter.
Yeah.
I love them to death. But if I got to pick 3 people to go to the Bahamas with tomorrow, and hang out, hey, I'll see you guys when I get back.
Right.
you know, Xavier and Zoe, I'll see you when I get back.
There you go.
So that's not it.
All right, kind of changing lanes right now. I want to talk about, because one of the things that we did, when I went and started working at one of the treatment centers, like we brought what you guys do into our mental health groups, and just the positive effect you guys had on those clients, you and Capenna, was just unbelievably awesome. And I would just want to get your thoughts on exercise, healthy living, mental health, and just kind of explore that topic with you a little bit. So.
First of all, I'm so thankful that you did do that. You for 6 months to a year, you try to still come over here and start working with these guys. I'm telling you, there's a space for you here with these people. And when I went over there, and finally I went to one of the treatment homes and started working out with them, walking with them, stretching, doing my yoga, and I can't even touch my toes, but just getting them outside, man, just getting them outside and walking and talking to them and sharing my story with them and allowing them, giving them a space outside of a room with the roof over the top, whether we were sitting at a park or walking or throwing a football, throwing a frisbee, giving them a space to share their story with me, and then accepting their story and them accepting my story. It was so rewarding for me. It was I think it was just as rewarding for me as it was for them, especially coming from, my mom was in the Air Force, and during her time in the military, she became an alcoholic, like so many of our vets are.
Right.
And she was an alcoholic, and she still drinks a little bit now, but so when I would tell them my stories, and they'd be like, "There's no way." I'm like, "Brother, man, I've been there where, mom's passed out, and you're like, oh, So as I got to share my story, they were able to touch me, and vice versa, and accept them. But connecting the health and the mental health and the physical health, it was huge for some of those people. And I see some walking around town now, and they give me a hug. "Hey, Steele, how you doing? Thanks for all that." And I'm like, man, that's wild. I'll literally be walking down Lido and past the house down there, and I'll see somebody coming from a meeting. "Hey, you remember me?" "Yeah, cool. I remember you, brother. Give me a hug. Like, what's up? How you been? So it's huge. But it was nice just to get those people outside and get them in the sun. And sometimes me going to Humboldt State, I have a little hippie in me. I'm wearing my Birkenstocks now. So get their feet in the grass and walk around, and get back to just Mother Earth.
So just people that, like, what would you say to, like, people that are aren't like athletes, aren't physically fit,
get outside,
maybe struggling? Like, where do they start? Like, where does somebody start?
Just walk. I call it urban hike. Walk in your neighborhood. Just get outside and walk in your neighborhood. People have respect for people that walk. When you see someone in the neighborhood walking every day,
right,
all of a sudden you start
it's
gaining
funny you
respect.
say that. I got these faces popping in my head.
You see people, you're like, damn, they walk every day.
Yeah.
What do? They walk every day. Older people, younger people, get out and just walk. Get sunshine, get vitamin D, drink water, drink as much water as you can, get as much sunshine on your body, and walk. You do those 3 things, and I guarantee you're going to start to feel a mental change.
Yeah.
Even before you feel the physical change. You'll all of a sudden be brighter, and then things don't bother you as much. And then the physical change will come. But get outside and walk. I love walking.
It's funny, when I exercise, things don't bother me as much. My stress level's down. If I miss a day or 2, I get uptight, anxious.
And that uptight anxiousness starts inflammation, and next thing you know, your joints are hurting.
Right.
And it's all coming from stress, from not moving. Move. Sitting in chairs, sitting in buildings, not, going from your car to your office, back to your car, to your couch, to your bed.
Yeah.
With maybe 20 minutes of sunlight, and that's just in between the walks from your,
Right.
Like, that's not the way humans were, like, that's not what we were put on this planet to do, in my opinion. The comforts that we have in 2024 are the same comforts that's hurting us as a human being, as a society is.
Yeah.
Get outside, walk.
So
Start a fire.
Once somebody starts walking, right, getting around, there's all this stuff. People start looking. When I scroll through my Facebook, it's like, get ripped in 30 days, do this in 20 days. There's so much information that's like overload and the instant gratification stuff. Yeah. Like, what would you say to somebody that just doesn't know, like, where to turn or what to do? Maybe can't afford a trainer. Like, what does that person do?
That's tough. Can't afford a trainer. Man, I would say try. First of all, like I said, just get outside and walk. Do that. Drink water. But if you're searching for information, there's so much bad information out there.
Right.
It really, really is. There's so much bad information. Like, I have a guy that I was working out with the other day, and he said they set up for the Long Beach Marathon in October, and their first run is going to be 8 miles. I'm thinking, if you run 8 miles and you haven't run in years, you're not running again for a couple of weeks.
No.
You're done. Like,
it's going to jack you up.
Yeah, it's just like you're done. Go run 2 miles, walk 2 miles, and do that for a few weeks, and build on it. You have all the way into October. You don't need to be David Goggins tomorrow.
Right.
So, and David Goggins didn't become David Goggins overnight. Like, like you said, everybody wants to be instant and be an influencer or be a this. Shut that stuff off and just do what feels good to you. Do what feels good to you. Get away from the processed foods as much as possible. If I'm giving you advice right now, and you could fact check this or whatever, I don't know. My advice works for me.
Yeah.
Get off the processed foods. Get outside and walk. Drink more water. Get sleep. Get off the alcohol. Get off the alcohol. Get off the alcohol. I can't say that enough.
Do you see that with most of the people that you work with that are like, my age or maybe a little younger, a little older? That's a big thing.
What, the alcohol?
The alcohol's affecting them.
Yeah, I only drink twice. I only drink a couple of times. I only drink on the weekends. I only drink. You only poison yourself a couple of times a week.
Right.
Really, you only poison yourself. Me and Xavier were talking one time, and we were talking about how, if you drink, say you drink twice, and this is my theory. It's not science-based or anything like that. You drink twice a week, right? For every time you drink, say you need 3 days to recover. So if you drink 3 times a week, only drink Friday, Saturday, Sunday. That's 9 days. Right. So next week, you're 2 days down when you start Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
Right.
You know what I mean? So you just keep going deeper and deeper into that hole. Now, when you get ready to detox or stop drinking, all those bonus days, you got to not drink for. You see what I mean? Just to get to even.
Yeah.
And then you got to start working towards, okay, now let's start getting some gains or start. So, I see that all the time. And if I could, one of the things as a trainer all these years, 20-something years and 20-plus years in Orange County, I think the hardest part of my job was motivating adults to do what they know they shouldn't do.
Right.
They already know. You already know. You can come to me 5 days a week for an hour. You're not going to outrun that alcohol on the weekends when you're blackout drunk or, you know what I mean? You're not. Those, a 12-pack of beers over a day. Like, you drank 18 beers this weekend.
Yeah.
There's nothing I could do Monday through Friday for you. Like, I can't.
Yeah.
I can't do it. And that's just the beers. Let's not count the shots and the cocktails and this. And then you repeat come Friday, Saturday.
Yeah.
You can't beat that. Yeah. And that's not talking about the food you ate with it. And that's just the alcohol you consume.
Yeah. What's a good rule to not eat processed foods? What do you tell people?
You got to prepare.
Yeah.
You got to prepare.
So
it's
stuff
hard.
in bags, stuff in...
And I hate leftovers, Chris.
Yeah.
I hate leftovers. I feel like I work too hard to eat something. Maybe because, I still remember what Tupperware in the microwave smelled like from growing up. I remember Tupperware parties. The whole house smells like
Macaroni
Tupperware parties.
Cheese, cut up hot dogs in it.
I hate it. So as an adult, we always do what our parents, we do just the opposite of what our parents said. My mom was quick to, like you said, macaroni and cheese and hot dogs in a Tupperware dish in the microwave, and it stinks the whole house up.
Yeah.
So I hate microwaves. I hate microwaves. I went years when when I first got my separation divorce, I didn't even put a microwave in my house.
Right.
I didn't have a microwave for like 3 years.
Seen it up on the stove, man.
Man, and it was good.
Yeah.
It was really good. And I didn't eat very many leftovers, and it
Yeah.
was, fresh food. And
Yeah.
it takes no time to cook a quick steak. It
Yeah.
doesn't take a lot of time
Yeah.
to ground up some turkey and throw
Right.
some vegetables in it.
Yeah.
Really.
Yeah.
It takes just as long as it takes to pull something frozen out of the freezer from Costco and, orange chicken in a package, and you're warming this up in
Yeah.
a plastic